Among the things that I know are true is that this conversation that I'm hoping to at least help move along this evening here at the College of Charleston is not a conversation that anyone automatically enjoys engaging in. People of color don't necessarily like talking about race and racism. White folks don't either, for different reasons. People of color oftentimes shut down and don't talk about race in front of white folks for the very fear that they're going to be essentially minimized, marginalized, and accused of making a mountain out of a molehill, exaggerating the problem, playing a race card, whatever terminology it is that we like to use in order not to have this conversation. They will be accused of all of it. And so oftentimes black and brown folks shut down. White folks, on the other hand, we shut down too. Now it's a different reason, it's a different kind of fear, but it's a fear nonetheless. And this is, by the way, not my opinion on the matter. This is what the research says quite clearly. That those of us who are white, we don't like to engage the topic of race and racism, especially when people of color are present, because we're afraid that if we do so, we're going to say the wrong thing. We're going to make a mistake. We're going to say something that someone is going to perceive as racist. Oh my God, we don't want them to think that we're racist. I would suggest to you that perhaps now more than ever in this country's history, we need to be having this discussion about race and racism and racial inequity. Why do I say that? Well, there are a lot of reasons I could, I suppose, offer that are moral and ethical in nature, but I'll just offer you one that's practical, right? Just sort of leave it at that for the time being, and we'll come back to the moral and ethical. The simple fact of the matter is that within about 30 years, maybe less, maybe a few more, but roughly 3 decades, this country is going to be half white folks and half people of color. That is a fact. This current economic crisis that we're in right now has its roots in racial disparity and the indifference manifested toward that racial disparity. And if you don't take anything else away from this evening, please, for the love of God, take this away, because it is the most important piece. Because if you don't understand how racial disparity explains where we are right now as a country, not only for people of color, but for millions of white folks who are in pain and who are struggling as well, if you don't understand that, I promise you we will never pull out of this problem. And not collectively, and not compassionately, and not progressively and productively. Maybe if we had decided it was a national crisis when black teenage unemployment hit 43%, which had happened for the first time 8 years ago, 9 years ago. Maybe if we had called a national emergency, some congressional hearings, had a stimulus bill. We didn't do any of that, because it was just black teenagers, so there was no emergency, right? But now it's starting to happen to white folks, and now people are flipping out. Oh my God, double-digit unemployment, people can't find work. My God, what are we going to do? Well, maybe if we had not allowed that pain to remain when it was localized, unaddressed, it wouldn't have metastasized the way that it has now. But it has, because we didn't care. And instead of doing that, we lecture those black poor folk